All right, I'm way back here. I don't know if you can see me behind all of this wonderful stuff that I want to show you today. This is the time of year when my kids and my husband start saying, what do you want for your birthday, which is in a couple of weeks? What do you want for Christmas? Again, I'm going to get this in May. What do you want for Mother's Day? So anyway, I like practical gifts. I like things that I know I'm going to use. You know, yes, there's a time and place for, I don't know, personal things, I guess, like a bottle of perfume or a new makeup bag or whatever. But right now, in the time of my life, I'm all about things I can use, things I'm going to use almost every day, right? So I thought I would share some of those with you. Nothing is tremendously expensive. This is my most expensive item, and it's less than $400 right now. So I'm going to start at, I think $10 is where we start, and go up to this guy. And I'm just going to walk you through. Now, many of these were gifts, especially from my kids over the years. I love to give them little items, and they can pick out 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, whatever their budget allows them to do that year, because I don't want them spending a bunch of money on me. But I pick out things I know I'm going to use all the time, so every day when I pull it out, I think about my kids, and I don't know, to me it's very special. Give me a practical gift anytime. So welcome to Grow and Preserve. I'm so glad you're here today. We are going to have such a good time. So the other thing I want you to know is that this is not a Black Friday, you know, hoopla, go get it, you know, bad rush, spend your money. No, it's not. I have no idea if any of this will be available on Amazon for Black Friday. A couple of these items I did buy in Black Friday sales in previous years, but that's not what this is about. You know, that list will come to creators in probably another week or so, and then they expect us to go find items that we like and sell up or whatever. That's not about, no. This is what I like, what I know works, what I use all the time, and what I think you would be happy either giving or receiving. So that's what this is. They may be on Black Friday. You can go check then if you want, but these are just items that I know are total winners in my kitchen. I do have it all compiled for you on my Amazon homepage, and the idea list is called My Top 30 Practical Gifts, $10 to $400. So again, these are not items that are necessarily on the Black Friday list. They may be, but these are just items that are in my kitchen that I happen to be crazy about, and I think you will be too. All right, so the first thing we're going to start with is my stainless steel funnel set. This is my one that fits all of my canning jars. So wide mouth, regular mouth, this is the one I use. This one, I'll show you what it fits in a second. And then I have a little strainer gadget that fits in either one of them. So say I'm making kombucha and I want to strain it to get all of the fruit out. This will catch it for me. Okay, so this one goes in my spice jars. Makes it so easy to fill these up. I can just, even with a really wide mouth jar, I don't want to put any paper in there, it's just a piece of cake. So I love having this size because the regular canning size will not fit in here. So I tried to do that, it doesn't fit, but this little one fits perfectly, and it makes it so easy. And just like that, I'm filled up again. So this was a gift from my daughter's boyfriend last Christmas or birthday. I think it was Christmas. Anyway, he gave me a few things on my list, and I use these all the time. You know, I use that one several days a week whenever I'm canning. I use this one once a week when I fill up all of my jars. So I have really loved having these. They are not pricey. They are, currently they're 32% off, listed at $12.99. This is as of yesterday. So, you know, prices may change. If you have Prime, it's Prime one day, at least for where I am. But this has been a super useful, fantastic, sturdy gift. There's no, it's stainless steel. There's no rusting, there's no discoloration. It's just, they're perfect. Okay, it's item number one. Let's move on to item number two. Okay, this is something I finally broke down and bought myself. This is a jar opener. And as I've told you before, this probably cost very little to make, but they charge a lot for it. It is $24.99. Now, Ordinarily, I would never recommend something that probably costs 75 cents to make and just charge $24.99 for you to buy it. But literally, it works so well. I can open all my lids with no denting, no anything, no damage to the lid. So I can keep those lids, I can use them for other things. I know some people can use a knife or their thumb, and I have never been able to pry off one of my lids like that. So I don't know if you can do that, more power to you. But for the rest of us, this tool is fantastic. It is a Cookwise mason jar opener. It says no lid dent or damage. It's $24.99. I've had this, I don't know, for a year or so when I finally broke down and got it. And I love it. So I wouldn't trade that for anything right now. I hate the price on it, but it is what it is. Extremely useful, practical gift. Next up, may seem a little crazy, and I don't know, maybe it is, but I have many stainless steel tablespoon measures. Now some of these I keep in items like hemp hearts and chia seeds. I just keep them in the bin. So those are things, I would measure out 3 tablespoons or whatever the serving is, right? So I don't have to go hunting for something. But when I am baking, when I'm cooking, when I'm canning, I always want to have at least one for dry items and one for wet items, so that I'm not getting all the dry items stuck in, after I used this for olive oil or something like that. So I bought these, 5 of them, for $10. And I've had these for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, and I love them. So like I say, I have them all in bins in my pantry as well, but I always keep several in the kitchen just so I can make recipes. So that to me is extremely practical. I'm not hunting down this thing all the time. I have as many as I need, and I think they're terrific items. So that's on my list as well. Okay, many of you have asked about my hot pads. These were a gift from my son in 2019. So birthday or Christmas, I don't remember because they're right there together. I love these things. I can pick up anything with that, and it's long enough that I'm not going to burn my wrist, because I do sometimes, if I have a hot pan in the oven, I have caught the rack, So these are fantastic. I use them all my canning, all my cooking. David uses them when he grills. I think they're just super. So they come with the 2 mitts, obviously, and then a couple of trivets. And these are just silicone trivets, but that's what I use to protect my counters. I know a lot of people say they can put hot things right down on the counters, but I don't know, that worries me a little bit. So I always use a trivet, and these are perfect, low profile. It can look like you're setting something right on the counter, but you're really not. It's protected. Okay, these have been a fantastic item. They come in all different colors, and they are, right now they are $16.49. I thought that was a real bargain. So next up, we have my silicone muffin pans. They call them pans. I don't know what they are, little forms, I guess. So for all 3 of these, it is $12. Yeah, $12, $11.99. And these are they're just wonderful. And if I'm going to do a couple of them, I'll put them on a big sheet pan. I don't have a sheet pan to show you with, but I'll lay them on a sheet pan and, just stick the whole thing in the oven. And I don't know, they work. Things pop right out. I never grease them. They just come out, and it's easy to just push something right out. So I make egg cups in them. I do muffins in them. Most of my muffins are keto kind of muffins, but I think they're terrific. So that's a great item on the list. So this is my stock pot. I bought this for myself last year, and it is such an improvement over what I was using for years. It is easy to clean. It's heavy grade. The handles feel terrific. They stay relatively cool. Now, if you have a flame on here that's a little too high, they will catch the heat from the flame down below. So this one does double duty for me, and I love that because I don't know what you can really tell on screen, but I have very little storage in my kitchen. I mean, really very little storage. So my really big water bath canner lives on a shelf in the garage. And so I keep it wrapped up in a garbage bag so it stays all clean. But I have to go out there, get up on a ladder, grab my canner out of the garage to use it. But if I'm just doing a small batch, this is perfect. So it's not just a stock pot, it can also be a water bath canner. I just put a little trivet in the bottom, and it has the glass top so I can see exactly what's going on in there. Has a little vent so when that steam really gets rolling as the boil goes when you're canning, it can vent a little bit, it's not jumping all around. So this to me was really a great addition to my kitchen. I bought it in 2022 and I paid $69.99 for it. Now there is one, I think that it is 17 or 18 quarts. I meant to look that up and I forgot. But there is one that is 19 quarts, so it's an inch taller, and it's right about the same price. I could probably do 1 inch taller, but I'm a little on the short side. so I got this one knowing that it would be fine, and it is, it's wonderful. All right, next up. All right, let's talk about my steam canner. If you've been here for a while, you know that this was a gift from me to me earlier this year. I don't know how I didn't know about this thing sooner. All of a sudden, everybody on YouTube started using them. I'm like, what the heck is that? Why don't I have one? So there are many wonderful things about having a steam canner, not the least of which is how super light this thing is. I mean, it lives, I don't know if you can see, no, you can't see the cabinet over there, but over my microwave, there's a very tall cabinet and it lives on the very top shelf. So yes, I have to get out the step stool to get there, but I can so easily lift this over my head and there are no worries. When we get to some of my big pressure canners, they are so heavy, even on the bottom shelf. You know, I often call on David's help to put them up for me because there's still a bit of a lift there. So this is called the Fruit Saver. It's by a company called Kitchen Crop. It is right now on sale, 15% off. Its current price is $59.79. So a steam canner will take some of the load from the water bath canner. And let me tell you why that's a really good thing. This is its little trivet it sits on, right? So these are maybe 1.5 inches tall, the little feet. Well, you only fill up water to just under the top of this. So that is significantly less water than you would use in a water bath canner. So it means not only does it fill up quickly, it heats up quickly, and then I can empty it. When I have my big water bath canner out here, it can weigh, gosh, I don't know, I can't even lift it off the stove. I have to get David to do it, and sometimes if I've been water bathing tall jars, it's more than he can even lift comfortably, and I have to get a scoop or a pot. You know, I start dumping water in the sink. But this uses very little water, heats up quickly. It does all of the altitude adjustment for you. You can see that here. But the little gauge will adjust to will tell you when you're at the right amount of steam for your altitude. It uses the same instructions as any water bath recipe uses, with one exception. At the end of the processing time, in a big water bath canner, you would turn off the heat and then you take off the lid. With this one, you turn off the heat, but you leave the lid on for that 5 minutes. And then after that 5 minutes, you could open the lid and take your jars out. I will say that if you have something that is going to process for a very long time, I know that Ball has like a roasted tomatoes, onions, and garlic recipe that I think is to water bath can for almost 2 hours. That you can't do that in here because there's not enough water for it to last that long. It would burn off and you would have a problem. So for those kind of things, you do need a water bath canner with a ton of water in it. But for doing sauces and jams and jellies and, you know, little barbecue sauces, and it's terrific. Absolutely terrific for that. Okay, so this is one of my favorite new pieces of this year. And you can get it, you don't have to get it on Amazon. I think a couple of you have found it locally at kind of local hardware stores, maybe at Tractor Supply. I believe, I want to say somebody found it at Tractor Supply. But anyway, it's a terrific addition to my kitchen. And like I said, easy to store because it can go way up high. Although during canning season, it's probably going to live on your cooktop. All right, this heavy thing here was my original pressure canner. This is the smallest version of the All-American, or maybe the second smallest version of the All-American. Right now it is priced at $379.95. So I was water bath canning for, I don't know, several years, I guess, before I got into pressure canning. And I tell you, I debated and debated and debated based on the price of this thing. You know, if I had to guess, I'd say I've probably used it 1,000 times. I've never had that's a wild guess. Never had a single issue with it at all. Nothing has ever not worked perfectly. I've never had any problems. It was a tremendous, tremendous canner. It's always going to serve me well. So as much as I love my All-American canner, I am crazy about the Presto electric canner. It allows me to leave the room when things are in the pressure canner. It allows me to do something else. I can have a conversation with my husband because it's not screaming loud, it's not rattling all the time. I don't have to listen for the exact rattle. I want to know that the pressure is being maintained, that it's not going too high, that my flame is right. You push buttons on this one. You put this in and you push buttons. It tells you what to do, and then it tells you when it's done. And it's like, whoa, fantastic, bring it on, right? So I love this one. This one is also less expensive than my All-American. It is 17% off right now, $272.99. I bought this for myself as a birthday gift to myself in 2022. I think that's right, yeah, 2022. Now, I've only had this one for a year. I've probably canned in it, I don't know if I've canned in it 100 times yet. I don't know, probably not. Maybe 75-ish times, trying to think through how much pressure canning I've done this year. I love this one. I've had no issues with it at all. It is heavy. I will tell you that. It is right up there with the All-American heavy. So I know one of you got this recently and she's like, I'm so excited, but my gosh, you didn't tell me how heavy it was. It is heavy. You know, it is what it is. So do the best you can. Make sure you have a place to store it, that you can easily get it out when you need it. Quite frankly, it spends a lot of time on my kitchen counter because it's usually running with something several days a week. But I have a whole video on the Presto electric canner and my review of it. So if you want to go take a look at that, I'll try to remember to link that down below for you. But this one right now is $272.99, 17% off. Fantastic. I would buy it again today. Absolutely. All right, this is one of my favorite new finds of 2023. I have had vacuum sealers for, I don't know, well over 10 years, maybe even 20 years. And it's always been one particular national big name brand. And I've had such a love-hate relationship with the ones that I've had because you have to wait in between. It gets temperamental, it overheats fast, you gotta turn it off, you gotta wait. Meanwhile, I have whatever, usually something frozen that I have that's defrosting while I'm waiting on the darn thing to take its 10-minute scheduled break. So I finally this year, I said, forget it, I'm not gonna buy another one of that brand. I'm gonna try something different. I bought, I don't even know what the brand is on this one. Let's see, Meslis? I don't know, I'm probably pronouncing that incorrectly. But it had great reviews and I love it. I love it. This thing works and it works and it works and it works and it works. And I think in all of the vacuum sealing that I did this summer, especially during the Every Bake Counts challenge, I don't think it ever asked me for a break, ever. It just flat out works. I'll try to put up some footage of me putting it through its paces. It is fantastic. It's very light, it's very easy to store, very easy to bring out. I don't have to lug out. My other one was pretty big, quite frankly. It was like that, and it was pretty deep, and finding a place for that one, it took up half a cabinet. This one fits in a drawer, and I love this one. So right now it is, according to Amazon, 41% off. It says it's $76.49. I think that's about what I paid for it at the time. But there's also a $10 coupon on it. At least yesterday there was a $10 coupon on it. So the one thing you should note about this one is that it does not jive with the ball jar lid suction thing here. So I solved that years ago because I was not going to pull out my food saver every time I wanted to seal up a jar of some dehydrated foods or whatever, right? So this is just a used lid, a jar. We have a, let me see, it's the regular mouth one. This comes with my little jar sealer here. So there's a wide mouth and a regular mouth. This is called the NutriSeal. So, whoops, I don't need this one. What you do, slide that on and put this on top of it and hit the button. It'll start to change sound and you'll know when it's ready to go. This is an empty jar. I probably should have done a full jar, right? Wouldn't take as long. And then all we do is peel this off. Oops, well, came out with it. But there is my jar all sealed up. There's nothing I could do to pull that off. All right, so let's hear the pop on this one. So it gets a great seal. It works every time. This doesn't come off every time, but of course it did on camera. But anyway, that is what I've been using for quite some time, just to save me from dragging out the big old food saver. So it comes with its own, it says it does accessories. I don't know, this didn't fit in anything I had, so I don't even worry about that. This is the little box, and it is on my list. It is $16.99, so well worth it for me. And I just keep this in a drawer next to this, and this is so easy to pull out anytime I want to seal up a jar with some dried foods. All right, next up is my onion chopper, and I'll put a picture in here. I just did like 8.5 pounds or so of sweet peppers the other day, and it just works like a total champ. So this is really the dicing setting that I use most of the time. It's the large square, the medium square, I suppose it is. And then mine is an older version, but the newer version has many more slicing and dicing options. But I use this all the time. I use this little one sometimes on onions, garlic. It's terrific. So this is $18.99 for the newer version of mine. And it's a lifesaver. So it's by Mueller, and I found it to be really good quality. I think you'll be very happy with this. Those of you who have been around for a while know that I am quite capable of making quite the mess with this guy. But you know what? I keep using it because it works. Absolutely works. So this is a corded version. It has a very long cord. I know they make them cordless now, but this one is so powerful. It has a 200-watt motor. I've had this for years. Let me see. I bought it in 2011, and I use it all the time, and I just clean up after myself. So this thing, I can choose to still leave something chunky, say I'm making crushed tomatoes, or I can take it down to a very smooth tomato soup or pasta sauce or Asian plum sauce or whatever it is that I'm making. I made ice cream with it yesterday. It's so powerful, it'll do anything. So it is right now $129.99. So I'm gonna put that one on the list as well, and I think you'll be very happy with it. Do your research. If you want one that's cordless, if you don't have an outlet near your stove or wherever you think you might be using this, then by all means, get a cordless one, but do get one that's powerful enough that you don't have to go back and pull out your blender anyway. Okay, this is a good one. All right, next up, ice cream scoops. I use these for meatballs. I use them for cookie dough. I don't eat a lot of ice cream, although I did make some last night. So I use this size. I try to use that size instead of this size, but all three sizes come together in the same package. They work great. There's no getting stuck. There's no rusting. The last one I had rusted. This one is showing no signs of that. I've had it for about a year. These are $21.99 right now. So I think that it's fun. It comes all three sizes, so you don't have to make a choice. You just pick out what you want when it's time to use it. Years ago, I had a different type of fat separator, right? It had the spout that went from down below, and then you were watching, and then the fat poured out anyway. This one, you put whatever it is in there, and then you do this, and it, I don't know if you can see it, but it opens and lets it go. So the fat stays at the top, the fat goes down, the broth is down here, it goes down, 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 and then you can stop it whenever you want to stop it. This has been so great. This will be my first holiday season to go through it, but I used it for, I probably made, I don't know, 50 jars of broth this year. Yeah, I think that's about right. Maybe even more than that. And I used this and it made my life so much easier. So I'm excited to have this for canning the turkey and the broth and everything else at the end of the season here, and making gravy. So $27.95. This is an OXO. I don't know if you're supposed to say OXO or if you're supposed to call it OXO, but anyway, that's what it is, and I love it. It also has this little strainer on the top, which didn't catch everything because the holes are, they're not teeny tiny, but it does a really good job. All right, I've talked to you about my cutting board before. This is by Sonder, Los Angeles. I love this cutting board. Now, I have the XL, which is 20 by 15. So the Sonder Los Angeles extra long, thick teak wood cutting board. It also has, if you wanted to use it for serving, do a big meat and cheese platter and have a little crudité there in the little divots, or you can use that for meal prep. So, you've chopped up your onions and your celery and your carrots, and it can have its own little spot to sit while you finish chopping up the rest. I love this thing. So I have put it through its paces. I oil it about once a month with some food grade mineral oil, and it still looks absolutely beautiful. So this is one of my favorite things. It comes in a beautiful gift box as well. But it comes in all different sizes. So I have the extra large. It's large, medium. I don't know if it comes in a small. It may come in an XXL. I'm not sure. But I have the link in here for this one, and it'll give you all the other options as well. All right, next up is my set of Babish cookware. I bought this for myself, let me see, 2021. It was a Black Friday deal. Currently it's $220. But you might look for it on Black Friday. I don't know. I would pay $220 for it again in a heartbeat. I love this set. It's heavy, but not so heavy you can't lift it, but heavy enough that it distributes heat very well. All the lids are see-through. All the lids have the little vent on them. So when I bought these, not only did I want the stainless steel cookware, but I wanted something non-stick without a non-stick coating. So that's what I was trying to move away from. So carbon steel, I've always had a wok that's carbon steel and I love it. It does patina, but it looks fantastic. I can fry an egg in here and it just slides right out. Wash these by hand, rub a little avocado oil in them, and then put them away, and they will last you absolutely forever. If you're ever gonna cook on a campfire, you can use carbon steel just like you would a cast iron pan. It'll take the fire. These are fantastic. Because the handle is metal, I put this in the oven. I do a big frittata in here quite often. Certainly whenever the kids are home, I'll do a big frittata. The whole thing in the oven, bring the whole thing out. It works beautifully. Frittata slides right out. I'll try to put a picture up if I have one. And then this I use for eggs all the time. So I just drop a couple of eggs in there, and it's the perfect little size for me. The only thing I will say that I wish is that I wish it came with 2 pots this size, because I can have a lot going on the stove sometimes. But it just comes with one. It also comes with like a half sheet pan, jelly roll pan, a grate, and maybe even a small size pan. I don't remember right now. Most of my pans are in the freezer with all those peppers doing the flash freeze on them. So this has been an outstanding set. I absolutely love it. It's easy to clean. And these are just the bomb. These are just fantastic. I use them all the time, and as you can see, they're well used, well loved, and I can't imagine going back to anything else. I don't need anything nonstick. I do have one true nonstick pan remaining, and that's just like when I get nervous. If I'm going to do cheese or something in a dish, I could probably do it just fine in these. I just don't want to ruin my pan. So I do keep one that I don't really care about, but I can use it in an emergency. Otherwise, these cover all my needs in cooking, and I think they're fantastic pots and pans. All right, let's talk about my air fryer. I have had this one since 2018. I did buy it on Black Friday. Right now, it says it has a 31% discount. It's $89.95. So you might check out Black Friday, but that's a pretty decent price on it right now. I love this thing. It is super easy to use. It's not so heavy that I can't lift and put it up. It may not be, the all-in-one. It doesn't do everything like some of them now. I know the Cuisinart one is also a toaster oven, and I don't know what all it can do, but it's an air fryer, and it works, and I think it has a pretty good amount of space in there. It is a non-stick ceramic coating on the little grate here. I have no problems with it. It's easy to use, easy to wash. The timer works great. It goes up to 400 degrees. So this is a super easy air fryer that I absolutely love. All right, let's move on with the list. Next one up is this meat masher. Now, I discovered this thing in 2019, I think it was, and I don't know how I lived without this thing for so long. You put the meat in the pan and just mash it, and it can break it into larger chunks if you want to know, that your ground beef or your sausage or whatever is there in spaghetti, or it can take it into really fine pieces if you're making, say, chili for hot dogs or something like that. I love this thing. It makes it so easy. It also works on things like mashed potatoes. I also use it when I'm making a jam, like strawberry jam or something, particularly if I'm using frozen fruits. It's much easier to mash them down with this. So anyway, this is one of our least expensive items. It is $10. It is worth every penny of that. Super stocking stuffer. All right, that's on my list. Coming up next. All right, I'm going to show you these bowls. And you're going to think, but Carter, we've only ever seen you use white dishes. And that's true. My entire cabinet is white dishes. And I love that because I want the food to shine. I want all the colors to come through, right? I want to create a pretty plate of food. Well, sometimes food isn't always pretty, right? Or it's very bland, it's very one color. I do like a turkey wrap, or I'll put up a picture from, I think, my last video before that, something like that, with a pork quesadilla, and it was a white cut of pork quesadilla in a white bowl. It was delicious, but it was so boring to look at. So now I've solved that problem. These bowls I am loving. These bowls were a gift to me from Dowen, the maker of the bowls. I had seen something very similar. I was watching a Rose Red episode on freeze drying or something or other, and she had some small ones that were like little rice bowls, and she said she got them at Costco, and she loved them, and I'm like, well, how cute, but we don't eat rice. That's a tiny little bowl. It's too small for a bowl of soup, or so I thought, well, I don't eat that. And then this company said, would you like to try any of our products? And they sent me a list of links, and I'm going, yes, 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 yes. Anyway, I settled on these because I don't have anything like them at all. I haven't had them long. I think we've used them 4 times now. I've hand washed. I have dishwasher wash. In fact, they've come out of the dishwasher twice. I have used steak knives on them 2 or 3 times already. David has so much fun saying, what color bowl do you want tonight? And he's like, well, I want the blue one. And I'm like, well, is that the blue one on the inside or the blue one on the outside? And he thinks they're wonderful. So I'm really excited with these bowls. Excellent quality. If you look at the reviews on Amazon, they have like 1,200 and some odd reviews, and their score is 4.8. 91% of the reviews are 5 stars. I would be a 5-star reviewer if I were going to review these on Amazon. Anyway, the company is called Dowen. They have all kinds of products. I am in the process of replacing some of my white dishware. Now, I'm not going to go all in color. This brings me so much joy, but I don't want to go all in color. I'm still a white background kind of cook, I suppose. But they do have the white bowls. They also have some white cereal bowls. I need to replace those because mine are all chipped. Mine that I have are Pottery Barn. I think that was like my first anniversary present or something. I don't know. I asked for it, so practical gift, right? So I have those, but they're chipping. And then my big bowls. I use a pasta bowl like this to serve most of my meals because it's not quite as wide as a table plate, and my table plates are really quite wide. It's not as small as a salad plate, and because of the sides, you can kind of pile it up in there. So you can have a piece of chicken, and you can have a salad, and you can have a little piece of cornbread or whatever, and it all just fits nicely, stays tucked in, catches all the drips, and it's just the perfect size. Anyway, I'm a huge fan of these. They are right now, let me see, right now $38.15 for 4 of them, which is, they say 11% off, but there's also a 20% off coupon on them right now on Amazon. So if you have an interest in something really fun, 4 comes in a set, and I love them. I think this would be a fun gift to give and a fun gift to get. So there you go. Thank you, Dowen, so much for sending me these beautiful bowls. What a great addition to my all-white, boring china cabinet. I'm thrilled to have these, and you really take the pressure off from making a stunningly beautiful meal. Just a simple little quesadilla can be gorgeous in a bowl like this. So Dowen, the company who makes those bowls, also have some little ramekins that look just like these. These are not from Dowen. These I bought myself, and I bought in larger quantities. So I think I have a dozen of these. So I linked the ones that I actually bought in here. They are, well, you've seen me use them a dozen times probably over the past several months. So I'll try to put up some pictures. I use them for all the little tarts I make. I also use them for, serving berries or something on the side, a little bit of coleslaw. I love these things. You can cook in them. You can throw them in the dishwasher. You can microwave in them. They are just the perfect little dish, and especially for dessert, especially when it's something really high sugar like the pecan pie in a jar. These are perfect because you're really limited to how much you can eat. So these are 4-ounce ramekins, and these are terrific. So I linked the ones that I bought, and let me see. They are, it doesn't say, $18 right now. So I had originally had some of these from Cost Plus World Market years ago. I still have a few. They were 3-ounce jars, and those finally cracked, but it's been 15 years or so. So this was my little upgrade replacement that I bought a year and a half ago, something like that. And they're just terrific. So I got 12 of them for $18, and there is a coupon on them right now, but I did not write down how much it is. Anyway, you'll see it in the link when you go to Amazon. All right, let's take a look at my spice jars now. I get so many questions about my spice jars. Where'd you get them? Can't find them. They're huge, just the perfect size. And you can see next to my hand, that's a really good size spice jar. You saw me fill up the pepper one. Whoops, things go flying. It's maybe 2-inch diameter, maybe, on the top. I love having these. I have 3 or 4 sets of these. They are not intended to be spice jars. They are intended to be juice and kombucha jars. So when you buy them, they come in a set of 12, and it'll have all solid tops plus a couple of tops with straw holes in them. So I don't ever use those, obviously, but these are fantastic for spice jars. All right, so as I said, I have 3 or 4 sets of these. I started buying them in 2021, and then I just loved them. So I thought, well, I'm just gonna, over time, move all of my herbs and spices into these jars. And you'll see when we head into my pantry here in just a minute, that's pretty much what I've done. So these have been fantastic. They did not come with labels because, as I said, they're intended to be juice bottles. So I bought my own labels and I hate them. so I'm not recommending my labels. I'm not going to put them in there as a link. So find some labels that suit you. You can get pre-printed labels. You can do your own labels. I don't know. Anyway, don't get the labels I use, but do get the jars. The jars are fantastic. Now, while I have this out, we're going to talk about Lazy Susans, because in the cabinets behind me, I don't know if you can see through them or not, the glass cabinets, I have 2 Lazy Susans on each side. The one on this side has, each shelf has some spices. The one on this side, each shelf has oils and vinegars. And then when we go into my pantry here in a second, you'll see that I have several more Lazy Susans in there. I just find it is the best way to organize. You know, I could probably cram more into the shelf if I didn't have the Lazy Susan, but I'd never find it. I'd have to take everything out every time I need something. So I find a Lazy Susan to be just so easy. These turn perfectly. These in particular, oh, and I do have several different sizes. So if you're going to measure inside of a cabinet, be sure to leave yourself about 1/2 inch just for things to turn around, because there is this tiny little outer lip on the edge here, and you don't want it to get, you know, stuck on any of the walls of the cabinet or to keep your door from shutting properly. So I have several different sizes. These in particular are 2 for $18.99. I've linked them down below. But basically, you know, they're by M Design. You can find several different sizes from them. Enter Design is also another good one. I do have a couple of those in the pantry as well. All right, so in addition to all these jars, I had in my pantry, I had room on a little shelf, I'm going to show you in a minute, for 5 more jars. Well, these come in a set of 12. So I thought, well, okay, I'm just going to snitch 5 of these crystal clear canning jars and use these for the rest of my spices. And I just love the look of this. So these are the little lids here that I like so much. They are airtight in theory. I'm not sure they're really totally airtight, like you wouldn't put anything freeze-dried in a jar and expect that to keep it completely fresh. So if you were lucky enough to have plenty of canning jars and want to use those as spice jars, these little lids are fantastic. I have both the regular mouth size and the wide mouth size. I find that this size is right for me. I think Becky at Acre Homestead uses all the wide mouth ones because she puts all of her spices in quart sizes, and mine are in pint sizes. But these little lids are fantastic. If you already have the jars, it could save you a little bit of money over, you know, buying the entire jars themselves. So a 6-pack of the wide mouth is $14.99, and a 12-pack of the regular mouth is $20.99. So $1.50, $1.60 or so a lid. And I think they look so nice. I'll show them to you in the pantry on the shelf, and you tell me what you think. Okay, I decided to take you on a little field trip. We are in the pantry off my kitchen. So not the canning pantry. This is my everyday pantry. I keep all my spices, all my baking stuff in here. But I wanted you to see this next item. First, let's take a look at how many jars I have. They just go on and on and on. And then here are the little 5 extras that I use the canning jars for. But this is what I want you to see. Let's see if I can take something off here. This shelf riser fits these jars perfectly. It holds 20 jars, perfect step up, and I think that this is, ooh, I need to go look. I think it's 13 inches. If that's not right, I will put it down below, or I'll put it on the screen. But this has been a terrific addition. It's another one of those things, I could maybe cram some more things in here in this space, but then I would have to, you know, really hunt around to find what it is I need at any given time. So I love this, love the riser, love the jars, love these lids. Let me show you a couple little other things here. And then just to show you real quickly that I do use Lazy Susans everywhere. This is oils, vinegars, sriracha, apple cider vinegar, all that kind of good stuff. These are spices and seasonings that I only use in small quantities, you know, wasabi. I don't really need a giant jar of wasabi, although I love it. I just don't find that much occasion to use it. So I have these, I have another huge one in the corner. So wherever you keep stuff like this, whether it's in a cabinet or in your pantry, think about Lazy Susans, think about jar risers. It just keeps everything where it needs to be, but keeps it organized. Because if I were looking at this without the riser, I'd be hunting all over the place. All right, so that is my upstairs kitchen pantry. Let's go back and wrap this up. All right, so let's talk quickly about some canning books. I have mentioned all of these to you before, and I think it was the Where I Find Inspiration video, but I think at gift giving time, if you've got someone who is a new canner, someone who recently started on canning, even someone who's been canning a long time and maybe wants some new ideas, let's talk about these. The first book I think any beginning canner should have is the Ball Complete Book of Home Preserving. This was I think it was the second preserving book I ever bought. I had the Ball Blue book for a long time. And if you're familiar with that one, it feels like it's 1950. And that book, you know, the tiny little recipes, and they're like, I don't know, 12, 14 or so on a page. But that one held me for a long, long time. So when I got this one in 2011, I was so excited to have all these new recipes available. So it has lots of salsas and relishes and jams and jellies, and there's just a tiny little bit of pressure canning way back in the back. So it's not really meant to be an everything kind of canning book, but it is a terrific book that I think everyone ought to have, you know. Whether you're a new canner or a seasoned canner, it's always great as a resource. Next, let's talk about the all-new Ball Book of Canning. This one is a lot of fun. I've told you before, it has lots of great new recipes in it, and it acknowledges that you might be able to think for yourself on some things, which for Ball was, you know, a huge admission, right? You can use lime juice instead of vinegar in your salsa. You can, you know, switch lime juice for lemon juice and, you know, not be told, oh no, you must follow absolutely exactly. You have options here that if you add one thing, you know, this amount from column A, this amount from column B, this amount from column C, and process it for this amount of time. So you have a lot more flexibility. You can still follow the rules and actually have some of your own creative input into the recipes with this book. So this is a great second book, I would say, after this one. All right. So for a more advanced canner, Angie Snyder's book about pressure canning is terrific. It has a lot of meals in jars. In fact, she does some really good, tasty things. I've done several recipes out of her book. I have videos up on them. A couple of the sandwich recipes that I did, the sandwich videos. And what else did I do from here? Baked beans. I did some barbecue. I did beef and pork, I think. So anyway, I have several of her recipes up on the channel. And then this is Pomona's Pectin. If you or someone you know is looking to cut back on sugar, if they are going keto, if they are diabetic, if they are simply watching their sugar, or if they're trying to lose a little bit of weight or cutting back on calories, this book is fantastic. It goes along with Pomona's Pectin, which is a low sugar pectin. It's very creative, lots of great recipes, chutneys and jams and jellies, relishes. It's apple maple jam, strawberry mango jam, honeyed apricot jalapeno jam. I mean, you can just go on and on with this beautiful, beautiful list of jams and jellies. All of these recipes are lower in sugar than the Ball recipes. This may have 7 cups of sugar in it and make, 6 pints of jelly. So that's a lot of sugar in those recipes. This may have a cup and a half of sugar and still make those same 6 pints. Now, even in the ones that involve lower amounts of sugar, I have substituted the sugar every single time with allulose because my husband really tries to be completely sugar-free. So that's what I have used. I have not had any failures from that. She does have, I keep saying she, I don't know who actually wrote the book. Alice and Carol Duffy, it is a she. So she does have a few recipes in the back that use stevia, honey, agave, monk fruit. So anyway, you can take a look and she will guide you through how to kind of do your own thing. But do know from me that allulose has worked in every recipe I have made from here. So that's it, my top 30 practical gift guide, $10 to $400, all from Amazon, all easy. I think almost all of it is Prime. So I will link directly to this list down below. I'll also link to my regular Amazon page if you're looking for gardening items or the cookbook items or anything like that. I'm not completely through populating all of the other categories of things that I use, but I'm getting there. So just go check those if you'd like to and check back often. So I appreciate you so much for being here, and I'm looking forward to spending this holiday season with you, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.